Hello and welcome to this quick overview of the Primo Back Office. In this presentation, we'll go over the main purposes of Primo's back office, its components, and their relations. The topics we'll cover are the login page and the basic layout of the back office, and the basic purposes of the back office, which are configuring Primo's front end, configuring the publishing platform Pipeflow, monitoring Primo status, and Primo concepts, components, and relationships. So we start at the Primo login page for the back office. Here you enter your username and password and click Login. And we land in the Primo back office homepage. Here you can see the basic system status and navigate to the various pages using the menu options. In the upper bar, you can see the Primo server time and the link to the About page, which shows you the version of Primo and access to release notes and check for updates. Next is the Logout button and the Help menu. This takes you to the Primo Online Help. And here you can see your username. In my case, it's Primo Admin. Next, we have the Primo dashboard over here. It provides a quick overview of the system status and links to the pipes list, the indexing page, the search statistics report, and to the database, file system, and CPU status report. We'll talk more about this in the monitoring Primo status section. Next, we have the Deploy All section, which links to the deployment page where you deploy any configuration changes made in the back office to all Primo components. Next, you have the Quick Link menu to access many of the most used pages in Primo. Next, we have the Monitoring and Maintenance section with quick links to monitor Primo status, Primo utilities with cleanup procedures and more, Primo reports, schedule tasks such as harvesting, reloading indexes, and more, and the PNX viewer where you can browse the PNX files. That's Primo normalization XML files that hold the records Primo harvests from various sources. And finally, we have the configuration and management wizards, which takes you to these configuration areas, the initial configuration wizards. These are the step-by-step wizards to get Primo up and running, ongoing configuration wizards. These are day-to-day configurations made as you work with Primo, and advanced configuration, which manages more advanced features such as the search engine, installation, user interface, and PNX. So let's take a look at the ongoing configuration wizards. The institution wizard holds the institutions list page with all of the institutions configured for your site, and from here you can add new institutions to the list and edit the settings of each institution and its associated libraries and IP ranges. The pipe configuration wizard. This wizard lets you define the pipe settings used by your system for harvesting and normalizing the data. Before defining a pipe, you must define the pipe's data source, harvesting method, normalization rules set, and enrichment set. Now, the pipe configuration wizard is also available in the initial configuration wizards, not just in the ongoing, but the normalization mapping tables can only be managed during the ongoing configuration. Restrictions and Delivery Configuration Wizard is where you configure search restrictions and delivery functionality in the front end. The Views Wizard is where you manage the different views of your institution. Each view can have its own look and feel, its own logo, header or header links, and so each one of your user groups can have a different view and experience of the Primo front end, where they may search different tabs and search scopes, etc. Staff Configuration Wizard enables you to manage staff users in the Primo back office and assign different roles to different staff members. Configure User Groups is for end user groups, and each group can have its different search restrictions. This is where you configure that. User Authentication Wizard is where you set up the authentication of the front-end users. Here, you set up PDS. PDS stands for Patron Directory Services. It's a back-end web app that provides a site with shared user authentication and SSO capabilities for all Ex Libris suite of products. PDS is configured to work with your institution's local authentication server and user database. Now, back at the Ongoing Configuration Wizards page, note that this section here, PDS Configuration Wizard, is relevant only for those of you that are using PDS with Oracle, that is PDS in active mode. So most of you do not need to use this wizard. So back to Primo Home. Okay, so that was Ongoing Configuration Wizards. Now let's look at Advanced Configuration. Here you have the General Configuration Wizard. Now this is available only to those of you with on-premise Primo. The General Configuration Wizard lets you configure advanced operations in the back office. You can use it to edit subsystem settings, including the name and logo that appear on all pages within the subsystem. The available subsystems are Alerts, Installation, Primo UI, Back Office, Client IP, Email, Publishing, etc. Different areas in Primo. We'll go back to Advanced Configuration. Next section is All Code Tables. The code tables define the various labels that the viewer sees in the front end. Each text the user reads corresponds to a code in the system. These are the tables where you define them, and we talk more about that in the Updating Labels with Code Tables section. Go back to Advanced. The next section is All Mapping Tables. Here you define the values of different parameters in the system, and more of these in a separate session as well. And next we have Full Normalization Rule configuration. The normalization rules define how Primo harvests records and converts them to PNX. So depending on the source of the record and the record itself, you can define different rules about how the resultant PNX should look. You can add different rules. Each one of these is a set that contains several rules. Tags and reviews management. This is available for on-premise Primo users. Here you can allow end users to create reviews for records and create tags to categorize search records. And search engine configurations, finally. This one is also available only to on-premise Primo users. Here you configure the search engine to make sure that you get the most relevant results on top. And you can learn more about this in our session about Primo ranking configuration. So this concludes our discussion on the login and the landing area. Now let's talk a little bit about configuring Primo's front end via the back office. So from the quick link menu, we have here front end and delivery. And from here, Primo administrators can configure the settings and functions of Primo's front end user interface. Now you can use the system's out-of-the-box settings, but it is necessary to perform at least a minimal amount of customization to your system. The Primo front-end user interface is made up of views, which are the sole means of user interaction with Primo. Each institution can have its own fully customized view, which must be configured through the back office. And every view can have one or more tabs, where each tab can search either local or remote sources, and you can basically divide up your Primo repository to different search scopes. For example, let's look at a front end. So for example, in this front end, you can see VID, the view. This view is called T1. Not a very informative name, but a view could be the main campus or the West campus. And here we can see that there are 3 tabs to the search bar. So you can perform a local search. You can search articles remotely from one of these repositories, or you can perform a MetaLib search. So in this case, we have 3 tabs, and in the Articles tab, we have 2 available search scopes. So back to the FE and Delivery menu. So let's look at the views list for our Primo. These are the different views which can correspond to different user groups or campuses. So this is my front end. We see here that I'm in the East campus. You can tell by the VID. We can also try West. And you see that this view is slightly different because there's a drop-down list that allows you to select different search scopes. So you can select either all collections or just records from Voyager. And other front-end configurations are available as well, such as the code tables that define the text labels the users see, CSS files which define the style of your front end, etc. So now I'd like to talk a bit about the configuration of the publishing platform. Now the publishing platform describes how Primo harvests all of its records from the different data sources. And basically for each data source, you set up a pipe. So in the quick links menu, we can see publishing, and the first section I want to show you is the pipe list. So as mentioned, the publishing platform is capable of working with various data sources and data formats, regardless of the resource media's type. And pipes are defined for every data source. We can see here the list of pipes for our Primo. Now first the publishing platform harvests the records, and then it normalizes the source records of the various resources to a standard and enriched format, the PNX, Primo Normalized XML, which we've mentioned before, based on normalization rules that you define. And each set of normalization rules can be associated with a pipe, and then it's applied to the records harvested in that pipe. So for example, let's edit this pipe over here. And we can see the data source and the normalization mapping set. So this is the set of normalization rules associated with this pipe. Back to the list. And we can see here the pipe owner, name, and type. The name usually includes the originating system. And you can edit or execute the pipe, run it, or see the history and error reports. You can create a new pipe here or refresh the page. And normally the pipes are run according to the schedule you define, and you don't have to run them manually every time. And the scheduling is done through Publishing Scheduler, where you can create a new schedule or edit an existing one. So now a little about monitoring Primo status. The back office allows you to monitor the system's performance, including the status of the system's pipes, processes, and search engines. So monitoring and maintenance is this section. And monitor Primo status is where you make sure the system is running properly. So pipe monitoring will take us back to the pipes list we saw before. And another way to navigate to this area from the home page is from these links, pipes, processes, and search. Now note that these 3 indicators, pipes, processes, and search, appear as OK and are colored in green. If we look to the right at the DB file system CPU, that one's in red and not OK. So that's another indicator that we need to drill down to that area and see what the problem is. Now here you have the dashboard monitor that has a graph of search statistics. So in total searches, the blue graph over here, you can see the total searches in the last few hours. And rows returned, the green graph, shows you how many results were returned on average per search. So monitoring processes shows you the status of all the processes currently scheduled in the system. And monitoring search lets you create a Primo search statistics report in order to monitor the system's local and remote searches. So here you fill in the various parameters of the report that you want to see. So that's a very quick overview of the back office. A little bit about the concepts and components of Primo. Primo's configuration data can be managed at different levels to allow institutions in multi-tenant environments to work more independently of each other. The configuration data in Primo's back office is split into the following levels of configuration: out of the box, installation, and institution. Out of the box, or OTB, configuration data such as normalization rules and view templates that is supplied by Ex Libris and managed by Ex Libris support. Installation is configuration data that belongs to the whole installation, such as a consortium, and can be shared by all institutions in the installation, but must be configured by installation level staff users. The following data must be configured at the installation level: search engine processes, general configuration, some of the code tables and mapping tables, and tools. And finally, institution is configuration data that belongs to a specific institution and can be configured by installation level and institution level staff users. The following data must be configured at the institution level: data sources, pipes, scopes, restricted delivery and search scopes, and some of the mapping tables. You can tell what the configuration level is by the owner that we've seen, the owner field in relevant configuration elements in the back office. So for example, if we go back to the publishing pipe list, you can see that these pipes are defined on the institution level. And you can also filter individual owners here. So thank you for joining our session on the Primo back office. If you want to learn more information, please look it up in the Ex Libris Knowledge Center, knowledge.exlibrisgroup.com.